I'm waiting a couple of seconds purposely to let everybody load on. Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody to the second virtual chapter IDS meeting. So glad to have you all here today. We are loading in now, so I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds. Just as some reminders, you can communicate with all of us through the chat box. If you click on the chat box and you change the to all panelists and attendees, then everything you say can be seen by everybody, which would be awesome. So again, for those people still loading on, if you go to your chat box, click the down arrow, you open it up, and you click the down arrow and you change the to all panelists and attendees. This way, when you guys want to participate in the conversation, everybody can see. If you have a particular question, it's hard for us to sometimes track the chat box because that's more for like, hey, where you're from and all that stuff. There's also a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, so you can click on that and you can put specific questions in there for us that we'll try to answer as we go along or at the end. So welcome everyone. I'm Nancy Ganzikoffer, president of the IDS virtual chapter. This is the second meeting and I'm so excited to be here today. I think we had, last I checked, over 140 people register for this meeting, which is awesome. So exciting. I want to go around the virtual table right now. We have two presenters here from Stanley Furniture that are going to be speaking to you a little later, but for now I want to get the top two and the bottom two, or side by side, depending on where you're looking at us, your board members here. Again, I'm Nancy Ganzikoffer, business coach to creative entrepreneurs. And Ian, you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Ian Kwa. I'm a website designer and content consultant who works with interior designers.
And Elizabeth?
Hey, I'm Elizabeth Scruggs. I own Superior Construction and Design, and I'm a designer and in Nashville, Tennessee.
April?
I'm April Carney, and I'm an interior designer, and I own a company called Redo Design Build.
Thank you so much, guys. And we're missing Monique tonight. She had, I believe she was under the weather. She's our membership chair, so she'll be watching on replay. So we all wish her well if she's watching. We are streaming live in the virtual chapter Facebook page this time as well. So for those who can't get on this broadcast, you can go over there and watch us there. So I want to start out by saying, how is everyone tonight? Can you tell me, give me some love in the chat. Let me know who's here, where you're calling from, because I love the fact that this is a virtual chapter. Oh, and I have somebody raising their hand. I haven't used that function yet, Darlene, but if you could, two participants raise their hand. Ooh, should we practice and see what happens when we click on that?
Let's do it.
If you guys can open up the chat, change it to all panelists and attendees, and let me know that you can hear us. I'm looking at the people who raised their hands.
Doris.
Doris is here. Darlene, thank you. Loud and clear. Yay, and you know what's funny? I just looked at you guys who asked to raise your hand, and the options I have are to allow you to talk to us, which could kind of be cool when it comes to the Q&A time. So maybe we'll practice with one person, just be nice to us. Okay, hi from Jody White. Hi, Jody. Oh, chat finally let us open. Was it giving you a problem before? Okay, and April's going to be monitoring the Facebook page. So live on Facebook, whoever's watching, let us know that you can hear us. Okay, so let me start with, again, welcoming everyone. I'm glad you are here tonight. I'm excited for this meeting. I think we're going to get a little better each time with our technology. And I am calling the meeting officially to order, 7:05. Ian, our secretary.
Thank you.
We did the introductions of the board and my welcome. So we're going to go through the reading of the minutes by Ian, our secretary, of what we did last time we were live with you guys virtually. So Ian, if you could read them for us.
Okay, here we go. So here are the minutes from our first IDS virtual chapter meeting, which happened on Thursday, January 18th, 2018. We We called to order at 7 p.m. and had introductions. Nancy Gantikoff for president, Elizabeth Scruggs vice president, Monique Duarte membership chair, Ian Kwa secretary, April Carney social media chair, and our presenter was Dean Camastro of Hans Grohe. Then we had the reading of the mission of IDS and how the virtual chapter came to be. Then we covered the benefits of being part of an IDS local chapter, which included community, friendship, learning, and charity, and also credibility in terms of putting the IDS logo on your website, business cards, etc. Then we covered the benefits of being part of the virtual chapter, which include community and collaborations, not only nationwide, but worldwide, virtual learning opportunities from industry partners and national sponsors, including the ability to earn CEUs, a large referral network from designers around the world for friendships and collaborations, a smaller time commitment than local chapters. Obviously, you don't have to drive to come to us tonight. And also recordings if you miss a meeting. Membership resource library, job and opportunity posts, and design competitions, challenges, and awards, like the Doty Awards. Okay, so then in the meeting, we had notes from the board. From Elizabeth. Elizabeth discussed the national conference, which is on April 30th to May 2nd, Savannah, Georgia. And for IDS members, the fee is $475, non-member fee is $625, being held at the DeSoto Hotel in Savannah. Then we covered how to join IDS. Monique talked about that. And the URL is interiordesignsociety.org/join. Then we covered about the IDS virtual chapter Facebook group. April talked about that. And as of the 22nd of January, we had 173 members. And finally, I talked a little bit about our mission in this chapter to really create contests, competitions, and challenges to really make our group interactive and fun. Afterwards, we had a presentation by Dean Camastro of Hans Grohe titled A Thirsty World, which we had a lot of really enthusiastic feedback about from interior designers. And that was eligible for a CEU credit. And if you did attend that and haven't got your credit yet, email him please directly at dean.camastro@hansgrohe.com. And then we had a raffle drawing. And the winner was Beth Clark. And Nancy, do you remember what was that item that Beth won?
Wasn't it a shower head? A really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice shower head. I don't remember the name of it though.
And then finally, we had the meeting adjourned at 8:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Thank you so much, Ian. We will accept those minutes as read. So I'm going to give my president's report now. And I have to tell you, I'm really excited because as a new chapter, it's really hard to get people enthused about joining a new chapter, right? You got to see the benefit of it. You've got to talk to people. You got to start forming relationships. And we've really started to do that as this chapter. And as of today, we have 28 paid virtual chapter members, which is really exciting because I think last meeting it was much lower than that. And the Facebook group, I don't know, I'll have April give us that report in a little while of what the Facebook group now has in it. So the Facebook group is a public facing group, but once our website is up, we will have a private member area for only the paid members of the virtual chapter. They will have special benefits in that background as we up that. So my first update was we are now up to 28 members. So yay, thank you. And if you've been on the fence and you've had trouble possibly using the site, please try again tonight. Our virtual assistant, Kaden, put the link in the chat box. And it's also in the Facebook page under this feed. Try joining if you have any problems, you will want to email Della at the national office. And I didn't prepare Kaden to have that email ready, but if we can get that, I think it's Della at interiordesignsociety.org, I believe is the right one. If you're having any trouble, or you can reach out to me or any of the board members here that you are trying to join the virtual chapter and you had some difficulty. And just a piece of business, if you are part of a local chapter, you don't have to join the virtual chapter also. You will be invited to our meetings once these meetings are closed down to non-members. But if you are not a member of a local chapter, and you live in an area that you just want to stay connected and have these credentials and have the benefits, please join the IDS virtual chapter today. We want to enhance our benefits to you. Our technology and all that stuff takes a lot of participation, and we want to be able to do charitable events and all kinds of things in the future. So the more members, the better. We do have our first educational event on the calendar, so save the date. It is March 20th, and let me just grab my piece of paper that tells me it's 12:30 to 1:30, and we are having Susan from the Sustainable Furnishings Council, I always say that wrong, and she's going to do a presentation on what is sustainable furniture anyway. So again, save the date, our first educational event. It will be free. We are still free with these types of things. We want to get everyone, watching us and following us and enjoying what we're doing. So, but that will be closing down very soon. So save the date, 12:30 to 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, a presentation, what is sustainable furniture anyway? So that'll be an educational event. Then the website's coming up soon. We are on target, I think, for March 9th. So we have another, 8 days till we're supposed to be live. So everybody cross their fingers or toes and we'll have the IDS virtualchapter.org up, and we'll let everyone know when that happens. All our paid members will get a sign-on where they will be able to go in and update their profiles with their pictures and their websites and their email addresses, so that when people are searching for an interior designer, they will find you there as well. And it's nice to have a link to your website because it's something called backlinks, which Ian knows all about. And I think that is my big items. I want to make sure we give plenty of time for the presentation, but Elizabeth, would you give an update on what's going on at National?
Sure. Sorry, I had to unmute. We're getting really excited about the conference that's coming up. Like Ian said earlier, it's April 30th through May 2nd. And there's a little card about it. Isn't that beautiful? If you've never been to Savannah, it's gorgeous. You've got to go. There's so much there to see and do, architecture and interior design history and things to learn outside the conference, which the conference is going to be amazing. But there's so much more to see and do in Savannah. So we want to encourage y'all to go. It's going to be at the DeSoto, and it's a Monday through Wednesday. I believe that's right. I looked earlier today. So you can even come, spend the weekend. And
I'm coming early. I'm going Saturday.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing too. So have a little fun and then a little work and have a big time. So we want you all to come. It's going to be great.
Yeah, there's a lot of presentations going on too. I know I'm running a round table on how to handle difficult clients and difficult client situations. So I'm looking forward to that. But check out the interiordesignsociety.org and look for their events in the conference page, and you'll get a lot more details about who will be there making presentations. Lots of learning opportunities there, and of course networking in person, which is always better than networking virtually. Anything else, Elizabeth?
No, that's about it.
I know they were doing that other contest too, National, the one where it was like design a lighting. Yeah. That was so cool. I wanted someone to talk about that.
I had that written down. Thank you for mentioning that.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's Elk Group, I believe, is putting it on, and you can design a lighting fixture, and it would be branded with your name, I believe, or your company's name if you win the contest. And that
it's amazing.
Yes, so that's an incredible opportunity, and another way to get credibility and be an award-winning designer. Have that on your website along with IDS. So.
And an incredible social media opportunity, right? Can you imagine if you win that contest, you've designed a great lighting fixture, and now forget it. That's
I know.
I'm not a full designer, so I can't do that. So it's not up my alley, but thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, April, give us an update on our social media.
Well, since our last chapter meeting, we're up 77 members in our IDS group, which I think is fantastic. So in fact, every day we're getting lots of new interests. So I think that's wonderful. So hopefully everybody will go ahead and join officially. That's part of our Facebook group. The other thing I'm excited to announce is that we are going to start highlighting some of our chapter members and some of our sponsors, and there's going to be certain days of the week. I don't want to give too much away because I want you guys to be surprised, but we're going to start some really fun challenges and also start to highlight a lot of you so that we can really get the conversation going online as well. And I think it's great for us all to be able to network online by just explaining what we do and why we do it, and also be able to be introduced to some of our sponsors that some of us might not know about as well. So some fun things in the pipeline coming on the Facebook group.
Absolutely. And we're trying to share content that we think is going to be valuable to you guys, articles and blogs. And we've already started Freebie Friday, which are free events going on around the industry that we think you might be interested in. And then, like April said, we're going to add a couple more days that maybe allow our sponsors to show their wares and goods and sales and free stuff on a different day, and perhaps even our industry partners. So we're formulating those ideas now. If anyone has any ideas about what we can do to make the Facebook page even more valuable for you guys, please share it in the comments here, share it on the Facebook page. But before I forget, thank you, April, I want to make sure we roll into our presentation with Stanley Furniture and introduce Randy and John. But at this point, you know how we have a raffle that our sponsor who's making a presentation gives us so generously something to give away during our meetings. And this is, once again, an exceptional giveaway. It's a Panavista sundial drum table. And to enter that, you need to go over to the virtual chapter page, which Caden already put the link in the chat. Hop over there. If you're not a member, quickly ask to join, and April will accept you in there. And then you have to click the link for Rafflecopter, and you will be eligible to win, and there's a picture. So when you click the link to win to Rafflecopter, you'll put in your information, and by 7:45-ish today, we are closing the raffle. So do not wait until the end. You can hop over there now. It'll open up in a different screen, and you can come right back to us by clicking on the little blue and white camera icon on the bottom of your screen. So go over there now and start putting your name in for the raffle. It is a, I had it here, like a $645 value, plus you guys are shipping it to, you'll explain that when it comes time, but it's beautiful. So thank you so much for that. So everyone head over to the Facebook virtual chapter page and enter that raffle before 7:45 so that you'll be eligible to win. Because we'd like to announce who wins this time live as opposed to the way we did it last time. So that's why we did it this way. So if you have any questions, again, put in the Q&A, or if you just want to chat with us and make some comments, you can put it in the chat box and change your to all panelists and attendees so that we can all see it. And at this time, I would like to introduce Randy Wells and John Pigg from Stanley Furniture. Randy, you are the VP of Creative, correct?
Yes,
and
correct.
John, you are the VP of Sales for Stanley?
Correct.
Okay, and I know you have a great presentation planned for us today, so you guys can take over, and we'll mute ourselves while you're chatting, but I'll hop in whenever you need me. And it's just introduce yourself, Randy, and tell them a little bit about you.
Sure thing. My name is Randy Wells. I'm the Vice President of Creative here at Stanley Furniture. I've been in the industry since 1994, and with very little qualification for my role, actually, I was a history major in college, but it was a passion of mine to pursue, and so it's something I've been very fortunate to do. I've known John Pigg, our VP of Sales, since I was in high school, and he is one of the absolute best in our industry, and so it's a privilege to work for a company like this. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is a little bit of the history of our company and where we come from, because that plays such an important role in both our design language and informing the things that we create. And then I'll go through and share with you the methodology and process by which we execute our designs. We are very much committed to authenticity in our design and starting from scratch with every collection that we introduce. So it'll give you a little bit of a window into where we come from, our company's perspective on design, and how we get to the end product. So Stanley Furniture was founded in 1924 by a gentleman named Thomas Stanley. And Thomas Stanley was actually married to the daughter of a guy named John D. Bassett, who founded Bassett Furniture Company. And Thomas Stanley was actually a farmer who was turned industrialist when his father-in-law needed a table plant to manufacture tables. So way back then, they were actually a subcontractor for a company we all know today as Bassett Furniture. He later became the governor of the state of Virginia, or the Commonwealth of Virginia as it's technically referred to. And the neat thing about that is this is a gentleman that lived on the world stage at the height of the post-war era and even before. But the time that he spent traveling the world and spending time with people like Queen Elizabeth you see here really informed the company's perspective on design and took it far beyond what you would see in the typical southeastern part of the country to a perspective that saw the entire world. And this is Thomas Stanley, like I said, with Queen Elizabeth here. This was she was a guest of the family for the 350th anniversary of the founding of Jamestown, 1957. This is Thomas Stanley's family home called Stone Lee. It's in Stanleytown, Virginia, its namesake. And the reason that I point this out is if you look at the front door casing there, that actually informs our flagship showroom in High Point, and the windows do as well. And that gives you a little bit of a look at how we took the history of the company and its founder and carried that into our design, and the design language and persona of the company. It's a really important part of who we are. I'll show you now just a little short video. It'll give you a look at our showroom. So for those of you that haven't visited us in High Point, that's a look at our showroom, and that actually informs the gallery presentations we do around the country and in other places as well. The brand architecture of the company is such. We're split into two sides. There's Stanley Furniture proper, which is the parent, and then Stone and Lee Furniture, which is a separate youth and nursery brand that we own that takes a whimsical approach to the brand. You can still see the brand itself reinforced in the brand mark there with the home, but it's a little bit more whimsical to reflect the audience it serves. You see on this screen it says steeped in tradition but not tethered to it. That's a little bit of a mantra that we live by, because when you work for a company that's 94 years old, you want to do things that are forward-looking and appropriate to the time in which you introduce them, but you also have an obligation to design things that are reflective of the brand's persona. And so that's a really important thing for us to think about every time we go into the design process. It's not as simple as whoever's in my role at the time. There've been probably 9 or 10 people. It's not as simple as, we think we ought to build something, so we go and do it through our mind's eye. We have to do what's right for the customer through the eye of the brand. Just like you would see if Vuitton did something or Ralph Lauren did something, you always know that regardless of what topic or aesthetic they address, who it is. just as a good example of how we approach traditional design, but yet in a modern way. And before I get into the new stuff, we have a collection called the Heritage Collection, which is an ongoing project here at Stanley Furniture, where we actually actively go out on a regular basis and buy our furniture back from people. We do everything from Cherish to Etsy to eBay, even Craigslist at times. We go out and buy our furniture back from the late 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even the 80s now. And we have a heritage facility in Martinsville, Virginia, which is right next to Stanleytown, Virginia, where we bring the product in, we completely strip it down, disassemble it, bring it right back to life just like it would have been with its original hardware. In the case of the chair you see here, we'll add a new fabric or something like that to it. But it's a great way for us to tell the story of the brand through product that's been around for a really long time. And we believe that it speaks to the value, the honest to goodness value of buying something from a company that's been around for nearly 100 years. And so it's a fun way for us to share our perspective on historic product, and it makes a really neat one-of-a-kind piece too for people's homes. So I've got a little video here that'll show you how the Heritage Collection works, and then I'll pick back up with the new stuff. So that's our Heritage Collection. That was from the first market that we introduced that. I see a question that's popped up on the screen that I'll go ahead and answer before I go into the next stuff. Can everyone that's on see the question, or do I need to read? Should I read the question out loud?
Always better to read it out loud, Randy.
Okay. So the question is, Stanley appears to be very available to the consumer at the retail level. How does the interior designer stay competitive with pricing and make money when specifying Stanley furniture? That's a really good question. And it's a thing where we were really the first Indian over the hill with this. John and I were talking about it today. With our products, we have what's called a minimum advertised price. And that's shown on the internet. Now, at first glance, as with your question, you could worry about whether or not you could make your margin. But we set up our pricing so that at that minimum advertised price, the interior designer makes the margin allocated to that without fear. So it can actually be turned into something that will allow you to feel secure in quoting a price to a consumer, as opposed to wondering whether or not they're going to go somewhere else and find it pop up at a lower price. Because the last thing that we want is for one of our customers to be caught off guard with something like that. So I hope that answers the question. Any complaints, just talk to John here at the end of the presentation. He's in charge of sales. But we do feel like we've created something that over time you will see is an advantage, because you never have to worry about whether or not one of your customers is snooping around on the internet to see if they can find a price better than you quoted them. It's just not possible. We police that very carefully, so you can provide your quotes with confidence. Okay, so the first collection I'll talk about is called Havana Crossing. This is a collection that we introduced about 1.5 years ago that was designed to showcase the extraordinary juxtaposition of mid-century modern and European colonial architecture that you have in Havana. The neat thing about what you see in Cuba, particularly Havana, is that you have mid-century architecture living side by side, shoulder to shoulder with European colonial architecture in a way that it could have never existed had the embargo not occurred. And the reason for that is that if there had been no embargo after Fidel Castro took over in 1959, all of that extraordinary mid-century architecture and probably a lot of the European colonial architecture would have been torn down, and you'd have another Bahamas or something like that. And so instead, you have this beautiful yet haunting landscape in the city of Havana that has these two living together in a way that's beautiful and, like I said, haunting all at the same time. But it's really, really extraordinary. It's amazing to see, because so much of it has remained untouched since the late 1950s. What you see on the screen right now is a place in the old part of the city called Palacio del Segundo Cabo. This was a palace for the second in command in Cuba, and we really fell in love with the arch that you see on the right side of your screen there. There's a bigger shot of it here, and this spoke to us because of the depth of it and the ornate nature of it. And we had been looking for a way to design a bed that's powerful in stature, but not overpowering in a room. And so we took that architecture and built the bed you see right there. And what that did was it allowed us to create we use what's kind of like a floater frame, like you would see in a piece of art.
Uh-oh. Randy's frozen. I don't know if we're all frozen. Let's give it a second to see if it corrects itself. Just Randy is frozen. Okay, thank you. John, are you frozen? I don't know if just Randy's frozen. It might be John too.
I think he is.
All right. John, can you hear us? Okay. Sorry, guys, this happens sometimes. Okay. John, you're on. Unmute yourself. And you know what? I'm sure Randy will come back in so he can finish his presentation, or maybe he's back already. Oh, look how quickly you're back. Well, you're muted, John. Randy. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay, good. So you want to try to screen share again?
Do it.
Normal technology issues, that happens.
It's okay. How about, am I back?
Back.
You're back.
You are back.
All right, so at the risk of not sharing something or where I was cut off, the purpose of this bed was to create something powerful that when you looked at it from the side, you could see the depth and presence like you did in that entryway there, but that from the front, it would be very demure and clean. So that's how we got to that. There's an example. This bed is also available in white, which does not have the parchment. This is an interesting place. It's called Casa de la Amistad, and it was a home built by a guy named Pedro Barro for a lady named Catalina Lassa that became his wife. And they were an important part of social life in Havana, and she was actually his mistress. And because they were Catholic, as is most of Cuba, at the time, divorce was not legal, so they fled to Paris, where they lived for, I think, 7 years. They came back. He built this house in honor of his love for her, and went so far as to have pink sand imported from the Nile to color the house, which is what gives it the color you see there. He had Henri Lalique come over to do all of the light fixtures in the house. It's an extraordinary place. It's virtually as it's been left since the 50s. It's now a restaurant and an inn. This is the ceiling in the garden room in the house, and we actually used that garden room for 2 different pieces of furniture in this collection. The first of which are these chairs, and you can see in the back of the chair where we pulled in the ceiling for the fretwork of those. There it is in a full room. And then here, the walls that line that garden room became this trellis bed.
Oh, I love that.
And so that was a way for us to bring in some of the Chinese Chippendale influence that you had in Cuba at the time, but do it in a way that's more modern and has a little bit more contemporized feel to it. It's also available in mahogany finish.
That's gorgeous.
To give you 2 completely different aesthetics there. That was a lot of fun to do, actually. A whole lot of fun, that bed. This is the famed Havana Riviera. Probably the most famous or infamous hotel in all of the Caribbean. This place was built by a guy named Meyer Lansky. And his character was actually part of the Godfather movies. He and 2 other guys, Lucky Luciano and another gentleman, formed the New York Mob, which is infamous in and of itself. But Meyer was one of the unique mobsters that was actually known for 2 things. One, he never killed anybody, and number 2, or so they say, and number 2, his extraordinary honesty. And in the 1940s, the president of Cuba at the time, a guy named Fulgencio Batista, actually hired Meyer Lansky to be a part of the Cuban government to clean up gambling. It had gotten an extraordinary reputation for ripping consumers off, which was giving rise to Las Vegas in the United States. And it got so competitive at one point that it was illegal in Nevada to own a casino in Havana at the same time. You had to be one or the other. But Meyer had this incredible reputation for honesty, and which is rare among gangsters, as you can imagine. He helped Cuba get its gaming back on track. But in the process, and by the way, he is to that era what Steve Wynn is to hotels today, if that gives you any sort of a perspective on the type of places that he built. But the interesting thing about the Riviera, in contrast to the other historic hotels in Havana, is that you can tell that he fell in love with Cuba, which he did. And I got to know his grandson during the process, and as did John during our design process, Meyer Lansky II. And I reached out to him, or actually maybe he reached out to me first, I don't know which. But the neat thing about it was, unlike the Havana Hilton and a couple other places, this guy went into Cuba and incorporated Cuban artisans, artists, and craftsmen into the construction of the hotel. Needless to say, he ran far over budget at the time. He spent $14 million on the hotel. It was every single thing he had. It's an amazing place. 1 year and 1 month after he opened it, Fidel Castro overtook Cuba and announced that he had done so from the restaurant, or actually the nightclub in this hotel. The place has not changed since 1959, literally. The same carpet is in the lobby. The piece I'm going to tell you about references these wood cutouts, the pierced carvings you see going down the wall of the hotel's lobby. We turned that into a cocktail table that you see here. We also used that for this little demi-lune console. So again, it was a way for us to take something that we saw as inspiration in Cuba that spoke to the country itself and use that in our product. A lot of mysteries, nope. So that's Havana Crossing. Pana Vista, which we introduced in April of 2017, takes a completely different tack. And by the way, I saw a question pop up where someone had asked where you can get the Heritage Collection product. We're in the process of launching a new website, and when that's done, we'll have a section on there for Heritage product where you can find it. But Pana Vista is a purely modern collection. The first purely modern collection that Stanley Furniture has done since the actual mid-century era. And the neat thing about that most don't know is that Stanley was actually a participant, a plank member of the mid-century modern era. And so there was a lot of pressure on us in designing this collection to create something that was done, like I said, through the lens of the brand. It spoke to the brand's values and its persona, but that's also relevant to the way that people live today. And we all know that people are gravitating towards a clean, uncluttered aesthetic that sort of creates a sanctuary in the home that's calming and as frenetic as life is now. And so we wanted to build something that gave the opportunity to create a sanctuary in the home that was soft-spoken, but very modern in style, but yet warm, because a lot of the things that you see in modern furniture have historically been cold. And so we referenced mid-century modern French furniture. The French have a great knack for design, as you all know. Stanley furniture of the 1950s and 60s. And we also referenced brutalist design, which was concrete, mostly concrete work done in the late 60s and early 1970s. And combine those three elements. On the top left there, you can see a mid-century French piece. And the other three pieces are Stanley furniture pieces from the 1950s and 60s. The thing that you have to watch out for in a lot of mid-century furniture is the way that it sits up so high off the floor. A room full of that can get pretty kitschy quick, and it can also be hard to maintain in the home because of getting a vacuum cleaner under it. So we chose to put everything on a plinth base. So this dresser, for instance, in Pana Vista, you can see the direct correlation between the pieces on these previous pages. There's a buffet in the same format done in a gray wood finish that we do. And by the way, the little capsule mirrors, those are solid sheet brass that's rolled. We build those as well, of course, along with the dining chairs. And so that was a lot of fun. That collection was one of the best received for us in the past decade. This is Butter Bay Hill. And Butter Bay Hill is a name that we created in homage to Montego Bay, Jamaica. This is
Randy, I'm just going to stop you for 1 second. Guys, you have 2 minutes to get into the raffle, so get over to the Facebook page. You can still be listening to Randy at the same time and join for Rafflecopter to be eligible. Caden put it in the chat. So 2 minutes, get over if you haven't yet to. The raffle's being drawn at 7:45. Okay, Randy, sorry. Keep going.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Butter Bay Hill is actually named for Montego Bay, Jamaica. In the 1495 to 1595 or so, Jamaica was under Spanish rule. And during that time, Montego Bay was called Bahia Manteca, which means Butter Bay. And so hence the name Butter Bay Hill. But this is a collection that was designed to represent a kaleidoscopic view of Jamaica from the 18th century, what we call great houses, all the way through to the resorts of the 1950s and 60s, where you had this sort of rollicking spirit of Caribbean glamour. That's the era that brought Slim Aarons to fame, the photographer who liked to say that he liked to photograph attractive people doing attractive things in attractive places. But it combines that British West Indies aesthetic in a much lighter way so that it's not so heavy and domineering, with Chinese Chippendale designs and some clean contemporary 1950s, what we would call contemporary as opposed to pure modern design. I've got a little video here from an interview that I did during our last market. I'll share that with you and then pick back up. One of the things that differentiates us is our pure commitment to authentic design. We start every collection's design about 18 months in advance. And from that design thesis, we go into travel and then a sketch phase. So take this bachelor's cabinet here. We saw in cottage number 10 at a place called Round Hill Resort, a bookcase, and cottage number 10 is where JFK and Jackie honeymooned. There's a bookcase in that home that had this great cane inserts in the doors. And we thought, that caning is sort of a neat way to bring a traditional element into something that has a little bit more contemporary silhouette, at least as far as its scale is concerned. And then so we would take that, do some different drawings with it and work into that. Some of the Chinese Chippendale motif that you see in the bamboo applique around the fascia. And then the hardware is a contemporized coral bracelet look that we develop ourselves. And then so we'll take that play with it in different directions, and then that influence will permeate other parts of the collection. But that's a great example. Our introduction to this market is called Butter Bay Hill, and it's what we call Jamaican Eclectic. It's a collection that I would say stands on the shoulders of British West Indies design, but incorporates other schools of design to give it a more contemporized feel. Traditionally speaking, British West Indies design is heavier. There's a lot of mahogany, so it can really dominate a room. And the way that we wanted to look at it was through the lens of our brand, but to incorporate Chinese Chippendale, campaign, and what we call Caribbean contemporary influences into that. And so to combine all of those things and to give something that's got a more modern take, we turned to Jamaica, where on the one hand, you have this extraordinary history of Georgian, or what was called Jamaican Georgian great houses, which we call plantation houses here in the States. That was a great place for us to lean for that Chinese Chippendale and British West Indies design. And then you have resorts along the coast of Jamaica that have been flourishing since the 1950s, when you had all this post-World War II exuberance and sense of adventure. And those places are still going. And that's where you see some of the more contemporized elements juxtaposed with the traditional, which is, of course, the way a lot of people live today. And for us, there's a visual push and pull there that was really cool. It was between these Jamaican Georgian great houses and this sort of Slim Aaron's mid-century feel that started with those resorts, which, of course, not only serve as vacation destinations, but style influencers for people's homes. And so for us, we like to mix those things and build a whole home collection around that. Our creative team is in-house. So we concept, design, engineer, execute all of our product as a team here in the States and with our colleagues in Asia in our office. And it puts us in a position to build products that, with the exception of custom finishing, has the exact same level of design and quality that you would see at the really higher end of the furniture industry. And so as long as you don't need to have it in chartreuse, we are operating at a really high level with an extraordinary value. So that will give you a sense of, excuse me, the entire collection, a way to see the showroom. Sorry you have to hear me on video and in person. The chair in the picture here is called the Estoril chair. And that's Ian Fleming sitting on his desk with his feet in the chair. He, of course, wrote all 14 of the James Bond novels that became the movies. And he had decamped into a place called Oricabesa, Jamaica. And if you think about Jamaica in the 1950s, it was to that era what St. Bart is to today. It's where celebrity socialites and the otherwise well-heeled and wealthy would spend their time in the winter. But anyway, he actually spent some time in a place called Estoril, Portugal during World War II when he was with the British Royal Navy. And that's what served to give him the idea for the first book and what later became a movie, Casino Royale. So we named the chair we created the Estoril chair. And in the back of that chair, if you look closely, what looks like splats is actually the Union Jack, which is the British flag. So that's a little bit of a wink and a nod to him and the things that he's done. And this chair, this piece right here, this bookcase, is in a place called Cottage Number 10 at a resort called Round Hill in Montego Bay. And that's where John F. and Jackie Kennedy spent their honeymoon. And it was a really, really extraordinary place. It's also a place that Prince Harry spends part of March every year. And so that bookcase informed what became this media console. So that gives you an idea how we'll take something that we see in architecture or somewhere else and turn it into a piece of furniture, which actually is sitting right behind me. All right, so that covers Stanley furniture. That's the largest part of the brand. Then there's Stone and Lee, which is our youth and nursery product line, and that is a whole different animal in and of itself. But it's a really nice way to take a whimsical, little more luxurious approach to youth and nursery furniture. I've got a little video here that'll give you a glimpse into that brand and its products. And this is the last video, by the way, I'll put you through. Well, pretty good.
My head is full of dreams. I've seen a million things. And when I go to sleep, the sheep are counting me. I made a marching spoons and old tin cans. When we go down the street, you gotta move and stomp your feet. Oh, 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 oh. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la. Sunshine is filling me right up. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la. I'm feeling love, 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 love. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We'll climb the tallest trees, the world beneath our feet. Build a home up in the sky to touch the clouds as they go by. Whoa, we'll be the kings and queens. Make a crown of beads and daisies. We'll wear the finest clothes. Dance around with the garden hose. Oh, oh, oh. Sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la-la. I'm feeling love, 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 love. I'm feeling love, 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 love. I'm feeling love, 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 love. Whoa. Whoa.
So that's Stone and Lee. I'll give you a quick look at some of our collections there. This is called Driftwood Park. It's called Chelsea Square. Smiling Hill here. And T-Berry Lane. So that's it. If anyone has questions, I can answer those now. Pop this up. Anything
I
else?
just wanted to unmute myself. Thank you so much. That was fabulous.
Yes.
I know Elizabeth's a designer, so she really and go ahead, April, you too. Go ahead, give all the juicy stuff.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I loved it all. Gorgeous.
Yes, gorgeous pieces. Absolutely gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
And I never knew that you had such, you took inspiration from all those places. I think that was the most interesting to me, that you look at something and you go, okay, how can we make this into a piece of furniture? Like, I'm so not creative like that. So impressive.
Most of our design does not come from furniture. We really live in a Me Too industry that is just a lot of more of the same. And part of our obligation, first, it's a privilege to build things that become a part of families' homes. And so we spend 16 to 18 months in the design process to build the things that we do. It's a rewarding, fun part of our business, that's for sure.
That's really nice. Really nice. Okay, so one thing I wanted to mention before, well, I know John wants to say a couple of words, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, all right, John, are you?
Yes, I'm unmuted now. Sorry.
Okay, so John, you're the
New to
VP
this
of
technology.
sales. So, and no, it's new technology. You guys did great for your first time on a virtual anything. Yeah. I'm so impressed.
So, I'm still learning Facebook and Instagram, so this is way over my head. So.
Oh, you're doing great. Everyone did. Randy did really well too. So, all right. So tell everyone quickly, about your designer program or whatever else you want them to know, because that seems to be a big concern.
We're so lucky to have Randy with us. He is, a master at what he does, and it's not just about product. It's about a brand. It's about the design and what's behind it, where a lot of people go out and just buy product and bring it to market. We truly take inspiration from, as you can tell, all over the world. And all different aspects. So we're very lucky to have Randy with us. But hope you all will definitely go to stanleyfurniture.com and see To The Trade. We've got a great design program. You have your own portal access or design page access where you can see your orders. There's incremental pricing discounts based on volume. We have promotion periods that will allow you to hold your projects to where it works for you, and then process them. So I won't go into it. I don't want to be the sales pitch side of it, but go to stanleyfurniture.com, To The Trade. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to email me. I'm jpigg like the animal oink oink, but 2 G's at stanleyfurniture.com. Or you can call our office at 336-884-7750. But we're here to help you. We have been proponents of the design industry for years and years, and want to just continue to grow with IDS. We're very excited about being an industry partner of IDS. Look forward to hopefully seeing you down in Savannah. Should be a good time. But have any questions, let us know. And thank you all for your time. We really appreciate it.
There is a couple of questions. We have Lenora DeMars. She wants to know, who is the current rep in Southern California? Don't know if you can answer that off the top of
His
your
name
head.
is Doug Carell. And email me. My email address is jpigg@stanleyfurniture.com. Happy to get you his contact info.
Excellent. And second question, what is the trade price off list for stocking and non-stocking?
So as Randy said, we have an MAP. We don't really have an MSRP, a minimum retail advertised price any longer. We have a minimum advertised price. And with that, you're about 40% less than MAP. So we think it's a good margin. Once you put in your freight, you are very competitive in the margins that you need. But if you have any questions, based on the amount of business you do, you get better pricing. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to help you.
Excellent. And we have another question. Who is the rep for Northern Virginia?
Northern Virginia is Chip Harrison. But yeah, I can get you his contact as well. I see a lot of people from North Carolina. I'm excited about that. I'm in Charlotte. So, it's great to see some new faces and new designers on here.
It is. We do have a lot of people on right now. And I think we're at about 40 right now, and people are watching in the Facebook group as well. And I shared it on the IDS Long Island page, my own business page, and Nationals page.
Darlene's asking about minimum to buy, no minimums. And it's kind of with our portal, with our design website, it's kind of like ordering shoes on Zappos. You can go into the portal, you can put your product in a cart, you check out, it gives you 2 different, you can do a commercial delivery where it goes to a commercial dock, or you can do a residential delivery. You know the freight price, you know the shipping cost, you know everything. When you check out, you can put your credit card in. There are no credit card charges. There are no minimums. It's a very, very appealing program from what I'm being told from the design trade.
I have to say I have an account with you guys, and it's one of the most comprehensive trade portals of any other company that I am associated with. So thumbs up. It's
thank you.
Great.
And we want to be transparent. If you go on to our portal, you can see if there are 5 dressers available. You order one, the next morning it shows you that there are 4 left. So we're a completely transparent company. If the product isn't available, we tell you when the next cutting's coming in. So you have all the information that the rep does. We don't want to work our reps out of a job. However, you have all the access, and when you need the information, you need it now and you're in front of your client. So we want to make sure you have everything armed to help that and take care of that project.
I love that you have residential delivery. That's great.
Yeah. Yes. And we're only looking on improving that. That's one of the biggest hurdles, I think, for the interior design industry and competitive issues out there. We're trying to make that a much more appealing and aggressive to give you the ammunition to fight and get the business that you need.
Yeah, it's great. I just signed up with y'all about a week and a half ago, but I haven't looked at the site too much yet.
Your rep's name is Brian Humphreys. He's a good guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Brian or Ryan?
Brian, as in
Brian. Okay.
Brian, yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, and then we have sales rep in Canada, question mark?
Sales rep in Canada, Eastern or Western?
Ooh, Jeanette, are you looking for Eastern or Western?
A nice woman named Kim Green. She's been in the industry forever. Eastern Canada is a guy named Jordan Schindel.
Excellent. Okay, that's Canada. We answered that live. I'm just going What is your site again by Jenny? Can you tell them where to find you guys?
www.stanleyfurniture.com.
Excellent. And then east of Toronto is what Jeanette said. Was that where your rep was that you mentioned?
Yes, Jordan Schindel.
Okay. And where do they find their reps?
So once you go sign up for our program, our partners program, they will immediately send you an email with all the benefits and and the partnership, as well as your rep. Once you log in the first time to the portal, it has your rep, and then we have a dedicated team, a customer care team that will handle everything from no hassle freight claim agreements to getting you finished samples. You can order free finished samples on our portal. But so you have a rep in the local area, and then you also have a customer care person that internally at Stanley that can help you with any of your needs as well.
Excellent. Okay, I think we answered all the questions. Does our board have any questions or anything? Because I am getting ready to announce the winner of the raffle, which is cracking me up. All kinds of private messaging going on. Any questions from you guys?
I don't think so. Not for
No?
me.
Okay.
It was
So
great, guys.
What was that?
I just was saying it was great and thanking them. It was a really good presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Really fabulous. And don't forget, this is streamed live in the Facebook virtual chapter page and on my business page and on the IDS Long Island page and on the IDS National page. So it will be rewatched over and over again. And I want to apologize for anyone who had trouble getting into the raffle. I'm not sure why that happened, but we certainly had most of you go in. So we will take a look at that after the fact. If you had trouble getting into the raffle, my apologies. I think one person had trouble last time. Sometimes it happens. If you are not watching from a Chrome browser, like you're on Safari, Chrome tends to work better for everything out there in the world today. So if you can do that in the future, that will be helpful to you. So I'm really, 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 really excited that our winner of the raffle is Jason Clifton, one of our executive board members for National IDS. And guess where he lives? Alaska.
Andy, you're in charge of getting that there.
I'll just deliver it.
Right.
So congratulations,
Awesome.
Jason. I actually did private message him and ask him if he would be able to come on verbally because I think I could bring him on. So so Jason, just switch your drop down to all panelists and attendees and let us know that you heard that you are the winner of the Panavista Sundial drum table worth $645. And just so you guys know, if you didn't see it in the chat, Jason being in Alaska, and he comes to the United States a lot. He'll be at the national conference. He's a national board, executive board member. A great guy, has a great design business. He does have an address in Seattle. So if you guys missed that, he's going to email me his address in Seattle. He has, what did he say? That was private messaging. So let me just go back.
Please, everyone, come see us at Market. We have a great showroom, as Randy showed you some of the video. Let's have a cocktail in the afternoon and have a good time and see some great product Randy's bringing to market this time.
And forgive me if I missed it. I know I saw a quick question that you put it in the chat instead of the question box, but is there a showroom in New York City?
We do not have a showroom in New York.
Oh my goodness. I'm in New York.
Yeah. Well, we're North Carolina, but that's close enough. It's not as far away as Alaska, but.
Well, listen, this is the virtual chapter and we are national and international. And as we grow to larger membership, I guess people will be shipping all over the place. I never even thought of it, but you probably got the furthest member right now to ship that to, but thankfully you'll be shipping it to Seattle. So guys, Jason said, thank you. This is really exciting. The panelists can see his comment, not to all attendees. So I wanted to let you guys know. Congratulations, Jason. This was great. I'm so glad you're the winner. You're such an active member of the IDS. It's nice to see it go to you. So guys, we will plan the next meeting. If you are a national sponsor and you would like to present the way Stanley Furniture just did, and thank you guys, it was a fabulous presentation. Everyone learned a lot about you know, Stanley in general, and how you come up with things. If you're enjoying these meetings, please support us and join the IDS virtual chapter. If you're not a member of a local chapter, you can join the virtual chapter. That allows us to continue to bring you guys these meetings. They will be closed shortly. We're going to decide whether we we do one more kind of promotional public meeting like we're doing today. And after that, this will be closed to members only of the IDS as a whole. So if you're a member of a chapter anywhere, or you're a member of the virtual chapter, you will be able to attend these meetings. So please join. So any other things that I missed, guys? Okay. All right. Meeting is adjourned. It is 8:07. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great night, and we will see you next time. And don't forget to save the date. What date was that? It was our What is Sustainable Furniture educational event. That is on March 20th, 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So kind of like lunchtime. Okay. Thank you to my board members. Thank you, John. Thank you, Randy. I will see you guys next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.